House Republican Deputy Minority Leader, State Representative Ryan Spain joins us live from Springfield. Good evening.
Good evening, Taman. Thanks for having me.
All right, lots to talk about. Let's dive right into it. This legislation, the pilot measure, do you think you or your colleagues will support this, the Republicans in the legislature?
Yeah, well, thanks for the question. We're still evaluating the details, and I think this legislation has come a long way. There's a tremendous interest among the General Assembly to try to preserve the Chicago Bears here in the state of Illinois. But one thing we've learned from this whole process is it has shown a light brighter than anything before on the problem of property taxes in the state of Illinois. Remember, that's the big thing that's being trying to solve at Arlington Heights is the high cost of property taxes for a new stadium development. Well, that's nothing new to the property taxpayers of the state of Illinois. All of us are paying the nation's largest property taxes in the country. So what can we do within the context of this legislation, whether it's uniquely for the Chicago Bears or to advance an initiative of other large economic development projects around the state? Can there be property tax relief that is given to the taxpayers of the state of Illinois in conjunction with a proposal like this? If we can come together with those two elements, there could be an opportunity for a deal.
Cam Buckner says there will be sweeping property tax relief for regular, ordinary property taxpayers. Is that what you're hearing? What do you know?
It needs to be a part of the final conclusion, and I expect that we'll continue to see negotiations. The House is in session this week. The Senate is in session next week. We need to make some forward progress on this initiative, but it can't just be a deal for the Chicago Bears. So when you think about property taxes and, the proposal in front of us contemplates giving tax rebates either back to individual taxpayers or to taxing districts. But we have to do more than that. We have to make sure that there is downward pressure on those tax district levies, especially for our schools. That's the only way that you'll translate a provision like this into real tax relief for working families in Illinois.
Possible rebates and, of course, concerns about the schools. We know that Governor Pritzker maybe wanted to try to get some Republican involvement. How strong was outreach from his office?
I always think it could be stronger. I wish we would see that more often in the state of Illinois. We have in the Illinois House a rule of 60, meaning you need 60 Democrats to come together and approve a plan to move it forward. 60 votes is the threshold to pass anything in the Illinois General Assembly in the House. That rule is a terrible rule because it means that there's not as much bipartisan collaboration that we should see, so that you have a coalition that is created with folks that want to preserve the Chicago Bears, maximize the economic impact of a new stadium development, but also put downward pressure on property taxes, or say, how can we take the principles of a new Bears stadium as a massive economic development project and use it in other locations in the state of Illinois as well? That's the type of framework that comes together when you create a coalition between Democrats and Republicans. We need a lot more of that in state government.
Wanted to ask you about the new redistricting amendment to the Illinois Constitution. Speaker Welch says those changes would be about diversity, but I know you're strongly opposed. Why?
I'm strongly opposed because we've already proven in a court of law that Illinois is in violation of the principles of fair redistricting, much more than any other state in the country. We have the most egregious gerrymandering taking place right here in Illinois, especially within our state legislature. So the speaker has introduced new provisions that weaken the requirements that districts should be compact and contiguous. And he really doubles down on a faulty premise that there could someday be changes at the federal level that would weaken legislative redistricting. I said to him today in committee, if we really care about fairness for voters and making sure that no voter is disenfranchised, why don't you put forward a constitutional amendment for a fair and independent redistricting commission? The speaker didn't have an answer for that.
I have less than a minute left. What about that millionaires amendment, taxing millionaires a little bit more? Will you or your colleagues support that?
Yeah, so this is another constitutional amendment that came forward today in Springfield, and we're closing in on the deadline to put these amendments on the ballot really in the next 2 weeks. It's an amendment to raise income taxes in the state of Illinois. It wouldn't just affect millionaires who might just choose to leave the state. We've seen that in the past, but it would also affect small businesses throughout the state of Illinois. It's very poorly drafted. It's problematic, and similar language we've seen in other states has led to actually a reduction in state revenues as a result.
All right, State Representative Ryan Spain, really appreciate you taking some time for us tonight.
Thank you.